for the welcome. It is my great pleasure to introduce Mayor Justin Elicker.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's nice to be at an event in person with a large group of socially distant people that is about something positive. I'm so excited to be here with the governor, with the lieutenant governor, with Commissioner Giulietti, with Congresswoman DeLauro. I see a number of our representatives at the Capitol and a couple of the New Haven ones that I want to make sure that we recognize is Representative Candelaria and Representative Lamar, who are here. I know Lieutenant Governor is going to help me with some of the other ones that I might not recognize. And our alders. I see Alder Hurt and Alder Rodriguez and Alder Douglas and the other equally important Alder Rodriguez here. I also see some other friends in the audience. I know a number of folks from the Preservation Trust. Our friend Lindy Lee I see here. Thank you for being here as well. This is a big deal. This is a really big deal. And I can't tell you how excited I am to be here today. I think it's important that we all think about the significance of today. And I thought I'd start by reading a couple of quotes from news articles from the past. Back in 2016, not too long ago, one paper described, quote, "Since the 1990s, New Haven has clamored for a second garage at Union Station to ease the parking crunch for commuters. Political fighting between a former New Haven mayor and a former governor held up that project year after year after year," end quote. A decade before, in 2007, the same newspaper said, quote, "The state and the city have been talking about building that second garage for a decade." And that was in 2007, they said a decade earlier. "And talking and arguing and talking and getting nowhere," end quote. That same paper characterized the story of Union Station as a tale of remarkable government interaction that goes back 2 decades, end quote. We are here to celebrate the history of Union Station, a 100-year history. And that history hasn't always been one of collaboration. The significant demand for additional parking at Union Station began in the 1990s. And the first of many, many studies on the subject was completed in 2002, about 20 years ago. The City of New Haven and the state of Connecticut's relationship has often been combative. We've struggled over who will control the station, the significant need for commuter parking, our desire to create transit-oriented development and incentivize more multimodal transportation, and our concerns about the unintended impacts on the surrounding neighborhood. Community feedback rejected former plans for a massive 1,000-unit garage, and our city and state were once entrenched in gridlock. Genuine disagreements about the direction of transit, community rejection of the behemoth garage in the neighborhood, and unfortunately political infighting have stalled the process time and again. But this is a new day. After months of work in a time of unprecedented struggle, guided by the needs of the community and with an eye towards the future, I'm proud to say that New Haven and the state of Connecticut have reached a deal. Today we are celebrating not just that last 100 years, but the next 100 years of the new Union Station partnership. It's just that, a partnership. In addition to a new lease and funding agreement covering the next 55 years, the city and the state will come together to invest in major updates within the station that will unlock more commercial development and make it a place that reminds commuters that they've arrived in our welcoming city. Reflecting our interest to balance parking and economic development, and as a result of significant community engagement and advocacy throughout the years, we will build a transit-oriented development consisting of a much smaller 600-space garage and a commercial liner building on the north side of the station. On the south side, We will have a multimodal transportation hub and bus depot, easing traffic on Union Avenue, making it more bike and pedestrian friendly, and encouraging more public transportation. And we will create a new oversight and operations committee to ensure that quality and maintenance are best in class, delivering value and serving our customers both here and at the State Street Station. While there's a lot to celebrate in this deal, it's not just about words on the page or dollars that we will be investing, but it's about something more. It's about a city and a state coming together to work for the best interests of the city, those people who elected us. It's about being faced with a moment in history and having the choice to shrink from it or rise to it. Governor Lamont, Commissioner Giulietti, and the DOT staff came to the table and left the baggage of 20 years at the door. Thank you. That's good. Good. Left their luggage at the door. I'm the third mayor, and Governor Lamont is the fourth governor to be faced with this challenge. And together, we've succeeded. Let our next 100 years be defined by this day. Even in the most difficult of times, when the world seems uncertain and the future out of reach, when we are in the midst of managing crisis after crisis, and when circumstances have pushed all of us apart, it's clear now, more than ever, that when we come together, there's nothing we cannot achieve. It would be easy for us to have said that there's simply too much going on right now to focus on getting to a deal. But it's our responsibility to think about what comes next. Though the halls of Union Station might be a bit quieter now, they will not be that way forever. We anchor the busiest commuter line in the United States, and now is our time to create a station that reminds all of those who enter our city of what we have to offer. We will build our city and our state back from economic crisis, and do so in a way that brings everyone with us. We're in this together, and together we will improve our public infrastructure, make our cities a place of economic excitement, create opportunity for every resident, and invest in the future for our young people. Together, we will make this a city and a state where everyone has a chance to thrive. Thank you very much, and I'll pass it back on to you, the Lieutenant Governor.
Mayor Elicker, thank you so much. And it is a great day, and I'm so proud to be here with Governor Ned Lamont, Congresswoman DeLauro, state representatives Lamar, Reyes, and Candelaria. It's great to see all of you. And I want to give a special shout out to the CEO and president of Metro North, Kathy Rinaldi. Can you just come over here and wave so people can see you? You're hiding. We don't hide female presidents. They are few and far between, and we acknowledge them when we see them. All right, and we are very proud to have our Transportation Commissioner, Jim Giulietti, here as well. And we are here to celebrate a very historic day. It's been 100 years since New Haven's Union Station first opened its doors, and here it is, as alive today and thriving as it was 100 years ago. And New Haven's Union Station is one of our state's architectural jewels. It's an iconic building, and it has a very rich history with its ability to continue to provide reliable service to millions of people, both local commuters and visitors from around the globe. And that's what makes this building a true treasure. Now, I'll just say, for me and my family, Union Station is a part of our family's history. When I graduated from law school, I worked in New York City, and I frequently took the train home to visit with my friends and family. Now both my daughters live in New York City, and frequently they use Metro North to come back home and visit our beautiful state. My sister-in-law and my brother live in Branford, and they regularly take the train to New Haven for their work here. And my family story is like many family stories in our state. So by connecting commuters from New York to Connecticut and Connecticut to Massachusetts, we make sure that our students have faster and reliable transportation to colleges and surrounding areas. Our workers have access to quick commutes, and our families have the opportunity to see their loved ones from around our area. And that's why the governor and I were so committed to work with leaders in surrounding states, especially New York, to ensure that we continue to have excellent service in a very vibrant and robust way, despite all of the challenges that we have faced with COVID. And so we proudly celebrate this centennial, and I want to take a moment to recognize the very hard work and dedication and contributions from the frontline transportation workers, from maintainers to conductors on the train during the last 6 months as we have addressed the COVID-19 pandemic. So let's give our Metro North workers a round of applause, please. Yes, raise your hands, because you have done great work, and we appreciate everything that you have done to continue our transportation and keep us all safe. So with that, it is my great pleasure to introduce our Department of Transportation Commissioner, who has worked with us and very hard with the City of New Haven. Commissioner Giulietti, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Madam Lieutenant Governor, Mayor Elicker, and thank you to all that are here today. I would be remiss if I didn't turn around and thank the people from the DOT that were working here, okay, to Garrett and Judd and to John and to Rich Andreski and Rich Jankovic, and, you know, to all the people, Alicia as well, who have turned around to go and carry the message that the governor delivered to me when he first offered me this opportunity to work here, and said to me, I want the systems here to work more efficiently, work faster, and I want you to work with the City of New Haven, because New Haven has been a hub. When I was hired back at Metro North in 2014, they did a lot of discussion over the fact that New York had hired someone who grew up in New Haven and lived on this system. So it was supposed to represent the fact that there was a good relationship between the two states and between the MTA and the DOT. So it's so nice that in these crazy times we come together 6 feet apart, hopefully, and celebrate the 100th anniversary and the opening of this beautiful station. You know, you heard the Lieutenant Governor mention Metro North. Well, we've got Metro North, we've got Shoreline East, we got the Hartford line, we got TASI that's working here, the Amtrak employees that are working here. This is truly a hub and has always been a hub. We're on the brink of an historic new partnership between the City of New Haven, the State of Connecticut, the Department of Transportation, and it's fair to say that the city and the DOT have never worked better together. And I say that from someone that started his career here in 1971, and in the 1950s when living over in City Point, and for those of you who know anything about the history here, the hill, which you see rising over here, is where all the railroad workers had to be, because they used to send out the crew callers on bicycles to go and get them to come in the days before they had the telephone services to go and work. So the station then, was, for me, was 30 years old. Now it's 100, which also tells you about how long I've been working with this. New Haven Union Station is one of the great transportation hubs, linking Boston, New York, up to Springfield, out to New London, actually all the way down to Florida. It is a national hub for people that want to go and travel, not only as commuters, but as long-distance travelers. Growing up in New Haven, I can remember how great plays would open at the Schubert Theater, not far from here. And when the plays made it to Broadway, Connecticut families would hop on trains right here where they advertised the show trains going down to Grand Central for the night to come back to New Haven and along the line here. Union Station tells the story of a railroad system that has come through New Haven for more than 150 years. For the last 100 years, Union Station has been a familiar, welcoming junction where literally millions of people have embarked on journeys and come home again. So thank you all for being here. It is truly a great day, and for me, it's personal and a little emotional. My parents were here up until last year, and they were so happy to see me come back here and be able to work here. You know, I could actually walk from here to my home down in City Point. And, you know, especially once they straightened out along Long Wharf here and we got the highway side to work with the rail side. So that's another story that we'll save for another day. So we look forward to a long and fruitful partnership, and it's fair to say, you know, that we are very, very pleased with where we are today, and I am very thankful to this governor and to the representatives that have made it very clear that they wanted to see the right things done here, and I can tell you from the first meeting with Mayor Elicker, it's been both of our goals to make sure that the right things did get done here, in spite of whether or not the governor was putting a hand on my shoulder. Thank you.
Commissioner, thank you so much. It's now my pleasure to introduce our great Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor. What an honor it is to be here with all of you, and I love this place, I really do, and I'll speak about it. But first I want to just say to where's the parking authority and Doug? Place looks great, guys. Really good. Thank you. Thank you. So it's really wonderful to join the leaders of our city, of our state, who have been dedicated to revitalizing New Haven. To our governor, Governor, thank you. Mayor, Lieutenant Governor Bysiewicz, Commissioner Giulietti, fellow legislators, amen. Thank you all for what you are doing. Fearless advocates for investing in people and the resources of our community. In order to be able to spark economic growth and opportunity, I am so proud to share the commitment. We celebrate the 100th anniversary of this station. There'll be a new plaque, and we build on a legacy. It represents what government means to people. As the mayor and the commissioner formalize a new partnership for the station's operations. Bear with me for a moment, and it's up on the screen there behind us. Designed by the American architect Cass Gilbert, created the United States Supreme Court and the Woolworth Building. At one point, the New Haven Rail Line carried 10% of all American passenger rail traffic. It is said as well as, and you see his picture up there if you wait for the right slide, Fidel Castro stopped at Union Station on his way from New York to Boston and took pictures on the platform with members of the press. It is really a grand marquee. The clock, I miss the board, guys. I miss the board. I really do. That was so fabulous. The chandeliers, the arch ceiling, what can I say? I think it's a great place. Governor, mayor, etc. We need one great party here one of these days. We really do, members of the board. And it also, when it fell on difficult times, state and federal funding returned it to its function and to the splendor that we see today. It is before us in what is possible with a government for the people, marshaled by the people. And that is a history, my friends, that's worth repeating over and over again. And I'll be personal for the moment. While the commissioner and the lieutenant governor were, This place holds a special place in my heart. I grew up just down the road in Worcester Square, traveling back and forth through the station's Grand Hall every day. I took the Orange Street bus when we lived on Pearl Street, came down here and took the train every day for 3.5 years to Laurelton Hall in Milford, Connecticut. And I would just tell you that the conductors probably wanted to throw us off some days. There were a lot of giggling young girls all ready to meet the young guys from Fairfield Prep who were on the train as well. I especially adored the model trains on the long benches. And friends, if they're gone, you know where you can find them. But I also want to just say, because I passed through this station so many times, it's too many to count, on my way to Washington or coming back. I wanted to give a shout out. I see Big Pete. There you go, Pete. Kevin, where are you? There. Where's Alan? He's off today. Okay. And all of you, thank you. Thank you for what the hospitality and the way you help every single time I come through this. I am grateful to the Red Caps at Union Station. They helped me with all of my luggage getting to and from the train on so many occasions. And without them, it may be that I would have missed many trains. So my thanks to everyone. You keep Union Station running every day, especially those who are declared essential at this difficult time. 100 years on, Union Station is one of the busiest rail facilities in the state of Connecticut, on one of the busiest rail lines in the United States, transporting more than 125,000 passengers on weekdays, 40 million a year, generating nearly $50 million in revenue a year into our local economy. It connects us. It connects the New Haven line into New York City. It connects the Hartford line into Hartford and Springfield. It connects the Shoreline East into New London. It connects Amtrak's Northeast Corridor from Boston to Washington and points beyond. But most of all, it connects our past to our future. Opened in the shadow of that influenza pandemic, which took the life of my grandfather, it is a triumphant reminder of what we can do and what must be done even in calamity. We stand here today to both celebrate that victory and to set our eyes forward to see new ones. I'm blessed to be able to fight and secure federal funding for New Haven, for infrastructure. Don Schubert, I see you over there. It includes over $250 million recently invested in a new catenary system, rail bed improvements, and positive train control. In times of crisis, when the challenges are overwhelming, federal investments for our communities are the very investments that we need to be making. So it is with such great honor that I am delighted to be here, and it is inspiring to see a local reminder of what America can do when we build toward a better future through infrastructure, through good-paying local jobs, through federal support, local priorities and assistance. Thank you so much again, and I've had the honor of recognizing this, and also might add in Italian, Giulietti, you'll get this. This is 100 years, per un'altra cent'anni, another 100 years. And if I can, this is a record statement talking about this celebration recorded into the record for the U.S. Congress. So, Mayor, thank you. Thank you, my
Thank you so much, Congresswoman DeLauro. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our governor, Ned Lamont.
All right, thanks, Susan. Hey, everybody. Happy birthday, Union Station. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. You know, she was beautiful 100 years ago, and she's still beautiful today, don't you think? And Yeah, Justin, I don't know what happened to those other governors and those other mayors going back 20 or 30 years, but this is good. We made a deal. It's a deal that puts this station on a path of direction. We know where we're going. And Rosa, you're trying to negotiate with the guy who wrote The Art of the Deal. Tell him to make a deal. Tell the U.S. Senate to get together with the House. We got a lot of work we got to do.
You guys are better able to make a deal.
But I'll tell you why we wanted to make this deal. I really believe that the future of the state runs through New Haven, and I think the future of the state runs through Union Station, and that's always been the way it was. You look around the history of this country, we built around our ports, we built around our rail stations. And when that rail was going out west, people would give their left arm to have a station. We have it right here. And as Joe Giulietti was saying, this is the hub of our state, and it's the hub of our region. It's connecting Boston, Springfield, Hartford, Waterbury, New London, all the way down to New York City. And this is what we mean by the hub, and this is why it's so important to what we got to do going forward. And what that partnership means, Justin, is also this beautiful place is really going to be coming to life in terms of retail, in terms of restaurants, in terms of not just the parking lot you were talking about, but housing. This is going to be a hub the way it always was. You know, rail was always a big deal in a city, a big deal. When the train would come, you not only see your aunt who you haven't seen for 50 years, but they bring in the milk, bringing in the merchandise, bringing in the future. And rail is going to be what it always was. Look, we take a little hit a little bit right now, President Rinaldi. I'm afraid. After COVID, people are pouring back into their automobiles, and they're slowly getting back into rail. But I really believe that you're still going to continue to see Union Station is the hub of this state and the hub of this region, and rail's going to come back. And maybe you're showing off, but everything on that sign up there says boarding and on time. Boarding and on time. Not bad. Not bad at all. And finally, what this means in terms of just really good paying jobs for folks who have been putting their life into it is somebody said, look, you guys were working right through the heart of this pandemic. You were essential workers. You couldn't sit back, couldn't telecommute, couldn't wait till you felt more safe. You were right here doing what we needed you to do. And there's going to be a lot of construction going on here. And Roland and I have been talking for years about how important it is we bring this hub back to life. So with that, let's just sing happy birthday to Union Station. Happy birthday, dear Union Station. Happy birthday to you.
Governor, we should have had a piano for you, too. All right. So now it is my pleasure to introduce Robert Jordan, who is Amtrak's Vice President for Customer Service and Stations. Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, and good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Amtrak, I'd like to thank our partners, the State of Connecticut, the Connecticut Department of Transportation, Governor Lamont, Senators Blumenthal and Murphy, Lieutenant Governor, Mayor Elicker, and of course Commissioner Giulietti, and all the state and local officials that arranged this tremendous occasion for today. I would also like to thank the FRA for their efforts and commitment to New Haven Union Station over the years. We are proud to celebrate the 100th anniversary of this station. It truly is a tremendous accomplishment for the city of New Haven, the state of Connecticut, and all of its residents and visitors during the past century. A well-planned train station has always been considered one of the best investments a community can make to appeal as a place for tourism and business, while also cultivating civic pride. To celebrate a station's 100th birthday, it's quite the understatement to say that investment has paid off well, and then some. In addition, this station is just as important to Amtrak. For the fiscal year 19, New Haven was the 11th busiest Amtrak station in the country, with almost 800,000 riders boarding or deboarding from here. those numbers still don't paint the full picture in terms of how stations have always been essential to the communities that they serve. As we reflect on the history, we must also focus on the future and continue to ensure that New Haven Union Station remains the beautiful architectural gem and highly functional station with great significance to this city and its people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And our final speaker will be a person who leads in our state legislature on issues of transportation, an ardent advocate for transit-oriented development and transportation, State Representative Roland Lamar.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. I do want to make sure I particularly recognize a couple people that I see in attendance here. First and foremost, someone who's helped organize occasional neighborhood protests against the state's original plans, Representative Candelaria, who is a representative in this district. You and I stood outside in Trowbridge Square a couple times, arguing against the state's original plans for this station and in the parking garage that they intended to build. Thank you for your leadership then and now on this. My incredible ally and colleague from Waterbury, Representative Jerry Reyes, I appreciate you coming down here today. And yes, the Waterbury line has got to get the same attention we're giving here in New Haven. And a couple of my aldermanic colleagues, I think I saw Alder Furlow out there, but particularly Alder Hunt, thank you so much for coming out today and joining us on this. Look, we talk about the last 100 years and everything that this station has meant to our city, whether it's bringing people in or having people come out, whether it's our major employers seeing this as the opportunity to draw from a larger workforce, whether it's our city looking for an opportunity to get from New Haven into Bridgeport, Stamford, whether you're thinking about buying a home here or your children going to college somewhere along the coast, this is exactly where you want to be, and this station helps provide all of those opportunities. But those last 100 years weren't just positives. It was only about 45 years ago, where this station was shut down, where the conversation was about tearing the whole thing down and reducing service completely in New Haven. It took strong leadership then. So for over a decade, this station sat empty. It was a burden to everyone who looked at it. It was a burden to the city of New Haven. It was a burden to the state and the federal governments. Everyone saw this as a teardown opportunity. Thankfully, strong leadership recognized that moment, the opportunity that this station would have. And so much of New Haven's rejuvenation, rebirth, economic development of the last 30 years has been tied to the investments that we all made in this site. And that's what we're doing today. It's not just a celebration of 100 years, it's the recognition of what bad leadership can look like. And thankfully, our mayor and our governor were not limited by the past hurdles that were put in their path. Instead, they said, what does the next 100 years of this city and state look like? Making dramatic investments into this station, making sure it's not just the hub, but actual focal point of economic development in our city is vital to our success. For as much as we're going to talk about transit-oriented development and linking pedestrians and commuters, it's almost impossible to walk here from downtown, from the Hill, from Edgewood, from where I live in Worcester Square. It's virtually impossible to take a bike here. The Connecticut transit lines have a hard time linking. All that changes with the leadership that you've seen, the mayor and the governor and all the people in economic development, Department of Transportation, and traffic and parking. I see Mr. Houselayden back there. I saw Mike Piscatelli earlier. The conversations we've been having for a decade about how to really make this a mixed-use, integral part of our city are happening today. As much as that garage getting built signifies a change in our thawing of the relationships, being able to walk here, bike here, and take the bus here opens up the entire city and all of our residents to the economic opportunity on the New Haven line. And I couldn't be more thrilled to be here with everyone today to celebrate this moment and to look forward to the next 100 years of New Haven's growth centered around New Haven's Union Station. Thank you all for being here.
you so much, Representative Lamar, and thank you, everyone. So you may have been wondering what is behind this beautiful blue curtain over here. So I'm going to invite Governor Lamont, Mayor Elicker, and Commissioner Giulietti to come up for the great reveal. So Commissioner, Governor, Mayor. And yeah, absolutely. And Congresswoman, get up there, 2 on each side. There you go. Okay, and I'm going to do on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. All right, and Mayor, where's that going to go? Somewhere prominent. All right. So now that we've unveiled the plaque, we're going to have the signing of the letter of intent between the City of New Haven and the Department of Transportation. So I'd like to have Governor Lamont, Mayor Elicker, Commissioner Giulietti, and Norman Forrester, Chairman of the New Haven Parking Authority, to take their seats at the table, and I think there should be enough seats. And what we're going to do is we're going to have each of them sign, and then after the letter is signed, we will entertain questions from the media.
I just want to say that technically I'm signing this, but the people that really have their names on this document are the many people that have already been mentioned, but our city staff, Mike Piscatelli, Kevin Alvarez, Giovanni Zinn, Doug Houseland, the many people that work here day after day that have made this station so beautiful. I don't think the station has ever looked so sharp in my experience here. Those are the people whose names are on this document. And so I think the commissioner and I remember we met back in November before I was inaugurated and said, let's get this thing done. We are often the people in front taking the credit, but you all deserve the credit. You have made this happen. You've rolled up your sleeves and been in meeting after meeting to make this happen. So thank you.
And Mayor, I just want to have a special shout out and introduction of the alder from the ward, Representative Rodriguez. Give her a round of applause. She's going to watch you sign this historic document.
I have to join the mayor in turning around, and I would be remiss if I did not also say, first off, from not only the state support, but the congressional support, which I've had all the way through from when I was at Metro North to where I am now. Even when I was down in Florida, you could always count on, the Congresswoman to be there, especially when it involved transportation infrastructure funding. But I also have to say that to all the people from Amtrak, from Metro North, from the shoreline east, okay, and the people that do the maintenance here, do the work here, that have made the changes that allowed for the station to look the way that it is today and kept it looking good. Because it was true. There was a time that this really did not reflect the values of the city and the love of the people that grew up in this city and how much they appreciate it. So as someone who's not living here right now, but I'm only up the road, but I grew up here and know this city, I truly appreciate everybody who has worked here. I appreciate the fact that as the governor turned around and said, did you make sure that this was all right? I have to say that I didn't have to. I have a team that has worked together with the City of New Haven, and the trust levels were there that we knew the right things were being done all the way through. So to my team at the DOT and to Kathy Rinaldi and Metro North, who've been tremendously supportive of this, thank you all.
All right, so we're going to invite our dignitaries back to the podium, and we will entertain questions from the press if there are any.
I'd like to know the details of the plan. I understand there's a lot of construction, a lot of improvements that are going to happen.
Okay, Commissioner, do you want to take questions about the plan?
Well, first off, what is going to happen now is everything here, I'd like you to think of it in terms of those of you who understand Grand Central understand it's a partnership. It's a partnership between the state, the city, the rail system, okay, and the businesses that are there. That's exactly what we're looking to have happen here. We're looking to turn around and look at the best usage within this station, where we can put in some additional restaurants. There's talk of boutique motels, all that, the hotels. All those things are on the table as we look to go and make this a desirable opportunity for investors to come in here and make investments. So the mayor's staff has been working with our staff. We've looked at the combination of our properties, which properties we can put into this that will make it a large enough area that investment can go in, and we will see a major change. And I think I'm going to leave it to the mayor to talk about the fact that he wants to use this as a gateway, not only out the front doors, but out the back as we head down towards Long Wharf. You want to make a few comments, Mayor?
Sure. So we've talked a lot about this being a regional hub for the city, and our hope is that we can also connect this to the other side of the tracks through a pedestrian bridge, because as many people know that have been following what's going on in New Haven, we're interested in harnessing the development potential on the other side of the tracks with Long Wharf. Also, we've talked a lot about Hill to downtown. I'm seeing Alder Hurt, Alder Rodriguez, and Representative Candelaria here, who have been the representatives in the Hill that have talked about how do we explode this area. We've got a vacant property across the street with Church Street South, and this site can be a hub to start that development and expand it. And I just want to make sure that folks, we've been joined by Alder Furlow, and appreciate you being here. So there's a lot of potential in this site, and we're seeing this is just the beginning of the growth around the area.
And Mayor, well, first, can you tilt the microphone a little bit higher, please?
Sure.
And what are some of the key specific terms of this lease? It's 55 years, I think you mentioned. And when does that start? And what are the plans? You said the garage is now going to be 600 square. Can you kind of flesh out a little bit?
And do you want to share?
What are the terms and what's going to be built there and everything?
I don't know exactly when it's going to start, but the terms are that the garage, instead of 1,000 spaces, will be 600, and there will be a liner building that faces the street so that it doesn't appear like a garage, and it has retail and commercial in that building. Behind us will be a bus and car transit center for things like Uber and Lyft, and also for more public bus access to take some of the bus traffic off of Union Avenue and activate this space behind us. Commissioner, I don't know if you want to add.
Hey, Garrett Giulietti, can you come on up for a second? There's a lot that's on the table, because we've even talked about if we put a station over here, can we have garage over here? Can we have access from the garage over here? Garrett will tell you that this 55 years starts now. Okay, we just signed the agreement, so.
So the current agreement goes until 2022, so the intent is to draft the agreement to then have it replace the existing agreement. So then that will start the 55-year clock once that is signed. And the sheet that they said, the letter of intent as well as the draft agreement term sheet, will go out in the press release that should be going out in like 10 minutes. So we'll have all those details in there as well. So.
And will the state be paying for the construction of the new garage and the new hub?
I'll answer that from the standpoint you heard about partnership. There's federal money, there's state money, and there's city money. And what we're doing now is by working collaboratively, we can take the properties that are available to all of us and make it that the investments that are made here can be returned into this area so it can be further developed. That's the idea behind it, is that we want that investment to be going back in so that we can continue to make this self-sustaining as we go forward with investors that are making that investment in. Good.
Yeah, in the document that will be released with the press release, it lays out that the first call will be to look at potential private investment to help build out the parking garage and the liner building. And then we are looking to go to the federal government for potential TIFIA and RIF loans instead of going to the bond market for that. So leverage the federal funds that are available for these types of properties. And then the state does have a bond authorization available that has not been tapped into yet. So that would be the third call to go after for funds for all these investments.
And how much in funding is this new agreement looking to put into the station?
The total document is around $65 million. So.
Question for the governor. Governor, it's not about the train station, but you said you intend to meet with the CIAC and DPH tomorrow, and I'm just wondering what the purpose of that meeting is and what you're hoping to get out of it.
CIAC and Department of Health and a couple of folks from my office are going to get together tomorrow. Deirdre Gifford has asked CIAC repeatedly over the last many weeks, what plans do you have to reopen football safely? What changes would you be willing to make to do that on a safe basis? I hope we get a response tomorrow.
So it seemed like this was kind of settled, that DPH said they shouldn't play, and they said they were going to play, so what has changed in the last few days?
What DPH said was football is a high-risk sport, as currently constituted. And then, as the public health departments all around the region have said, in New York and Rhode Island and Massachusetts. But at the end of the day, it's up to the league to make that determination. We're going to sit them down, see what they can think about in terms of how to play it safely in the fall, or more likely in the spring.
So some of these players and coaches seem to have seen the news of the meeting, and they feel like this is a good sign for them if they are planning to play football in the fall. But it sounds like that is not necessarily the case.
I don't think that's necessarily the case, but we're here to listen to ideas from CIAC. Come forward with something constructive. But I would like to see football played sometime, that's for sure.
So you want to hear CIAC explain how they could make football a lower risk activity?
Yeah, if you can do that. And then Department of Public Health, because we lead by health every step of the way, would take that under consideration.
Governor, why the change in plans for the Union Station garage? Why did you and your team decide that you didn't want to build a 1,000 space garage?
I was less focused on 1,000 versus 600 feet. What I always focused on is having a long-term direction for Union Station. And as somebody who knows a little bit about investing, you got to have a long-term strategy. And 35 years plus 2 10-year renewals means that people can make investments here and count on the future. It'll make a big difference for the future of Union Station and this region.
Governor, your level of concern with regard to infection in schools, where does that go right now? And we see every day there are a few popping up here and there. What's your level of concern?
There have been some isolated infections at K through 12, and obviously you've seen some of that at the colleges as well. I feel more confident on K through 12 because people can cohort, especially K through 8. No need to close down the school if there was any exposure. It's just in that particular third grade class. College, we're watching pretty closely because you attract from a much wider universe. But even there, the infection rate is still well below 1.5%, and that's pretty good compared to Alabama, North Carolina, and some other universities.
Is there a uniform policy in the state regarding guidance to schools, whether or not they should close or when they should close? Is there that guidance?
Well, we have guidance, but we're leaving that up to the local superintendents. Again, it sort of depends on how much exposure that particular student had to the wider universe. Was it just a third grade class, as I said before? Then I think you're limited to that class that would have to do it. That's our strong advice, but we leave it up to the superintendents.
What about mandatory staff testing? Is that something that had ever been considered, or might it be on the table?
What we said about testing to teachers, administrators, is we make it available to you free of charge in over 160 different facilities. So if you feel more confident, please go take advantage of that. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much.